You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Hello and welcome to Force 13's live coverage of another US tropical cyclone threat. It is Tropical Storm Debby. It's currently dropping large amounts of rain over the Florida Peninsula this afternoon/evening as we're about to enter. The National Hurricane Center will update at the end of the hour, and we will carry their update as soon as they drop it. At the moment, we suspect that the storm has held on, has sustained its current intensity. 65 miles per hour is the estimate, 992 millibars. There was an indication from recon earlier that the storm did level off in its intensity, although looking at latest radar frames it suggests that perhaps there's some intensification beginning again. Now, there are no active recon flights into the storm right now, but we are expecting that this storm is strengthening, and whenever we get their next readings, I don't know when that will be now, we could be looking at a hurricane. Well, it is expected to become a hurricane tonight and is likely to make landfall in the Big Bend region of Florida as a high-end Category 1 according to the National Hurricane Center. Could it get stronger than that? Well, that is a question that we will seek to answer during this hour of coverage, along with many other questions as well, I'm sure. My name's Nathan Foy here in the studio, as usual on a live stream when we're doing our first lot of coverage. It's probably going to be slightly rusty on the... we might have missed out some graphical errors or something from our last stream, templates and such, so be prepared for that, but we'll do our best here. We've got plenty of things already lined up. We have a few webcams active too. Probably one of the closest cameras to the storm right now is this at Madeira Beach, which is along the west coast, very close to... Obviously, it's near St. Petersburg, but it's about 150 kilometers away from the center of the storm right now. And as you can see, it's lashing it down with rain, at times getting some gusty winds there as well. Tropical storm force winds extending out quite a distance. If you look at the National Hurricane Center's cone, you will notice before anything else, I think, that the wind field there, that big yellowish blob, is massively stacked over there on the eastern side, the land-facing side to Florida, and that's why we've got such a large area of tropical storm force winds. We'll introduce our team now. With me we currently have Maury, Jose, David, Cesar and Jack. I wonder if first we could possibly speak to Jose, because you are closest to the storm right now. You're in Florida on the East Coast, so yeah, you're not too far away from the storm. How are things looking at your place?
Well, ever since Debby got very close to Florida's west coast, it's pretty much been raining heavily here, and some strong wind gusts a lot. So I could just say it's like somewhat calm but windy at the same time.
Now you're showing us several different panels there on your screen. Obviously on the left there, a wide shot of the satellite imagery really capturing the storm there. Southern side looks like it was struggling a little bit. At this point, it is still quite weak, especially that southwestern side where there's no storm force winds, according to recon passes. But looking at the rest of the core, looks like it's improving to me. What do you think?
I mean, it is improving just by looking at a couple of last frames. It does look like it's starting to wrap more better down in the south.
A little bit, and then looking at that satellite, there's still quite a lot of gaps there. Of course, you can message us as well. Start your message with Force 13 all in text, and we can have a discussion, viewer and team discussion about any of the facets of this storm. Of course, we've got plenty of warnings already in effect, and they've been in effect for quite some time. Let's just run through some of these. Don't forget, the National Hurricane Center will update at the next hour, although I doubt the warnings will be changing much now. So a hurricane warning from the Suwannee River to the Ochlockonee River, Florida. A storm surge warning for the Florida coast from the middle of Longboat Key northward to Indian Pass, including Tampa Bay. Hurricane watch for west of the Ochlockonee River to Indian Pass and for south of the Suwannee River to Yankeetown. Storm surge watch from Bonita Beach northward to the middle of Longboat Key, including Charlotte Harbor. Georgia and South Carolina coast from the mouth of the St. Mary's River to South Santee River, South Carolina. And you can see these warnings depicted, at least the wind ones, on this graphic. Tropical storm warning still for the Dry Tortugas, the Florida coast south of the Suwannee River to East Cape Sable and west of the Ochlockonee River to Indian Pass, and a tropical storm watch for west of Indian Pass to Mexico Beach, and Georgia and South Carolina from the mouth of St. Mary's River to South Santee River, the same as that storm surge watch. Cesar, you did an update on the storm on our channel a few hours ago. What were your thoughts at that point, and how has the storm changed since then in your eyes there?
Well, when I was doing the update, I believe that Debby was quite a quite weak system, but of course eventually has picked up the pace a little bit, and I'm pretty concerned about how the atmospheric conditions could behave in the next hours, since the sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico are literally boiling, are over 31 Celsius. So it really takes just some atmospheric conditions to get better for Debby to
Yeah. See, I could see a little issue on
actually than it
our
already is.
graphic there as well. It still says Taiwan. Of course, it's Florida. That goes from our last stream when we did Typhoon Gamey, but we can just gloss over that. We mean Florida. Sorry about that, Says. Oh, your signal broke up there as well whilst I was saying that. So what? Just finish what you were saying there.
Hopefully my signal is better, but yeah, as I was saying, I I think the most important thing to take note is how the atmospheric conditions for Debby are going to be on the remaining hours before it makes landfall. I mean, it's some dry air on Debby's location, and also some wind shear, but the sea surface temperatures are so high, over 31 Celsius, and the storm is getting better and better organized, and we cannot rule out that the system could get even more intense than the forecast. It has happened before,
Oh
but
well, don't we know it?
let's see what.
Of course, there's been a lot of crazy forecasts and claims, and I don't think really any of them were unsubstantiated, because the conditions really are extremely favourable. But I think we have hit a little bit of a fortuitous couple of hours here where the storm looked like it probably did ingest some dry air and has struggled slightly, held its intensity, and given that there's now probably 18 hours or less until landfall, we are still going to be looking at strengthening, but I think the upper echelon forecasts are starting to be ruled out as time is ticking. Maury, I know that you were talking about that a fair bit. Do you want to add any thoughts on that and what some of the models earlier were saying?
Oh yes. So some of the models, most of the models are indeed showcasing this to become a hurricane. I mean, not all of them, of course. Uh, you can see the ECMWF does have it. TMC, it's right on the borderline status of a hurricane. Uh, it as it makes landfall, 997 millibars, which is actually even higher than it is now. So I don't
No,
think
no,
that
no.
is I don't think
That
that's
ain't
gonna
happening.
So I do think it is a fairly highly likelihood that this will become a hurricane, and I mean, that would be the likelihood at this moment. Past Category 1 status, that is what we're unsure about because
Yep.
it really depends on time. What I also noticed, let me get that up. What I also noticed, there was actually quite a bit of shear in the area. You can see not over here, but you can see where the system is. There is like a trough that is prompting this wind shear to move into it over the southeast states, and that might cause the system to have difficulty strengthening as much because you can see all of these red colors on this map. They indicate lots of wind shear.
Certainly on the western side of the storm, if you look more closely at the satellite imagery, there does appear to be a lot of clouds going in all kinds of different directions. So it looks like there's a lot of shear over there in the central Gulf. North side of the storm, I'm not sure, but I don't think it's affecting the center. And the more I look at this imagery right now, it's looking like we may be seeing. I don't know if that's an eye yet, but it is looking very suspicious.
Let me see.
And looking at radar, I think that is the start of an eye here. Was that thunder
Oh yeah, there's just a storm near
at your
me.
place?
Yeah,
Nowhere near Debby, of course, right?
yeah, it's nowhere near.
And to remind everyone, you're up in New Jersey, aren't you?
Yes, I am. We initially were expecting like the storm to pass within 1,000 miles, but it's not likely that will happen anymore.
Okay, we had a few comments. Will Myrtle Beach get tropical storm force winds? It is looking fairly likely. It's obviously given how it's a very broad system. Let me just double check. Well, it's not fully likely yet, but they're giving it about a 20% chance for Myrtle Beach. And I don't know if anyone wants to mention tornadoes. We've had one or two apparently already.
Well, we have a lot of tornado warnings. I believe two of them were confirmed, or at least one, uh, per the National Weather Service. We just had one near, just we just had one near, Flamingo, Florida. So that was a
Down there,
confirmed.
right at the bottom.
Yes, right at the bottom of Florida. There's still some bands over there that are prompting some tornado warnings. We also may have had one. We had a few tornado warnings near Arcadia. I'm not sure if one of them was on the ground. It looked like it was, but the NWS did not say that it was specifically in the tornado warning text. So I'm unsure how many tornadoes there were today, but it seems like at most one.
Okay, loads of other questions came in. I'll try and get to as many as possible. Danny says, do we think this could pull a Florence over the next few days as the steering currents collapse? Well, that certainly is true. It's an interesting comparison, actually, when we think of Florence. Of course, it was a massive rainmaker because it moved through very slowly. I suppose it could be somewhat comparable. It is going to be taking potentially a very erratic track. I don't know if we've fully got a handle of it yet. At one point, of course, the NHC were calling for it to curl inland. They've sort of gone back to what they were saying originally now again, and calling for it to go further northeastwards. But look at the size of that cone at the end there, the last 2 days. Huge! By that last point, that cone extends from the western part of Virginia well out to sea. A substantial distance. I'm trying to figure out just how far that is. It's probably about 600 or 700 miles, the width of that cone. So a huge amount of uncertainty. And additionally, you may just notice just slightly on that intermediate advisory position update, it has moved a little bit east. It's a trifle east of the forecasted expectation. Here's some radar imagery, a longer loop from the Force 13 website. You can take a look at that yourself at any point on our site. And the movement there looks like it's just jogged a little bit eastwards, and the movement is slightly east of north, so north-northeast there by the looks of things. What does that mean? Well, it may mean that there's less chance of it reaching its full potential, and it may also mean a quicker landfall. So if that keeps up, I think the tip is here, we want to see as much eastward movement as possible. Maybe not too much, because then it will move out over the Atlantic, but we want to move a little bit further east so that it doesn't have as much opportunity to strengthen. And here is some visible imagery, real close up there, looking out off the coast from Tampa Bay westwards. Quite impressive imagery there. There was another camera that we had up as well. This is Plumley Beach, which is also quite close to that region, and you can see the waves pouring in there. But I think the better viewpoint was from Madeira Beach, which is pretty much the closest camera and one of the closest points of land to the storm right now. About 150 kilometers, which is in miles about just less than 90. Just more than 90 actually, so not far from the center of the storm, and clearly getting quite a lot of rain there, very persistent, and at times some gusty winds here. David, you're also with us right now.
Yes, there's a tornado watch that remains in place for the central and northern Florida, southern Georgia coastal waters, and it will remain in force until 8 p.m. The National Weather Service, National Hurricane Center's technical advisory says that Debby is likely to reach hurricane status within the next 12 hours. There's quite a bit of uncertainty on days 2 to 5. And as Nathan has said, it's moving slightly east of the track, but that is likely to change. As I just mentioned, there's a lot of uncertainty with the 2 to 5 day forecast. The centre is also forecasting further deepening, but the key items are the upper level steering mechanism. Debby should move through a weakness in the mid-level subtropical ridge over southeastern United States, reaching the northeast Gulf of Mexico coast in the Florida Big Bend region on Monday. After the system makes landfall, the steering currents are likely to weaken.
Yep, and that's what's causing the huge amount of uncertainty that happens later on. Maury, you've been showing us some microwave imagery there.
Yeah, we currently are looking at some microwave imagery. This is showing the storm to be not necessarily extremely strong, of course, because it's a tropical storm. But you can see some of the bands reflecting off of the microwave imagery there, and they continue to try to develop. Also, you may notice that there is a few of those clouds reaching into Florida, the few of those microwave imagery bands heading into Florida initially, although those seem to disappear. But though this storm is continuing to move north, although I do notice that eastward movement, it's heading more in a direct north movement now, which was expected, so we'll have to see.
So you say it's moving more directly north now?
It looks more directly north instead of north-northeast.
Well, that's interesting. Let's show you some real close-up radar here, just to show you how things are looking. It looks like a jog to me at the moment, but perhaps it is further north in those latest frames, but you are seeing the beginnings of that eye appearing by the looks of things. And radar, hard to tell whether it is fully wrapping around yet. Let's see if we can get a more local radar involved with this and see if we can make any further conclusions. Let's get one of the ones from the Tampa area. That's Justin, by the way.
Yeah. By the way, I would also like to point out
Your gain's
the
a bit
weather
too high.
Huh?
Your gain's a bit too high, Justin.
I don't have anything in the background. But Weather Prediction Center has issued a day 3 high risk for excessive rainfall for the Georgia and South Carolina coastlines due to Debby.
Okay.
Yep, just figured I'd point that out real quick.
Yep. I'm just trying to get this radar working and it isn't. So, I don't think we'll be able to use that. But anyway, we'll show you the national view as we continue to watch that storm continue along. Jack is also with us as well, of course. Hello to you as well. Debby strengthening.
Is that?
Certainly is, I think.
They're saying within the next 12 hours, hurricane status.
Yep, definitely. I think, I mean, it's going to be much sooner than that at this rate if it keeps going like this. Of course, we've got no empirical observations right now with recon out of the storm at present, but the National Hurricane Center will be updating at the end of the hour, and I do wonder whether they might just notch it upwards to 70 miles per hour, or whether they're happy with what the recon data showed and want to stick with that. Of course, it's a little while ago now that recon got their full data. There was some other questions then. What do we think about the other AOI in the Atlantic? Yes, another one has been marked in the Caribbean, and there could be a small chance of development near the Western Caribbean region. So that could be yet another big thing in the Atlantic Ocean, and it appears that absolutely everything right now is geared to hitting land.
Yep.
So, Justin, your take on the storm in general, then?
Well, I actually am looking at the radar right now.
Uh-huh.
It actually does look to be developing. It actually looks like it is starting to develop a pretty pronounced core to it. And actually, like you said, I actually will not be surprised to see this put up to 70 miles per hour come 5 p.m. 75 is a hard maybe, though.
I don't think they'll go for it yet.
Yeah. And also, as of now, on the severe weather side of things, there are no tornado warnings active as of right now, but there are several special... Actually, no, never mind, we do have a tornado warning. National Weather Service in Jacksonville has issued a tornado warning for South Central Baker County and northeastern Florida until 5 p.m. At 4:24 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 7 miles west of Maxville and 9 miles northeast of Rayford, moving northwest at 30 miles per hour. This storm will be near Sanderson around 4:40 p.m.
Okay.
Radio
Mention of that right now. Tornado warning that is active. There it is.
Yeah, my radio. Yeah, my radio went off. Tornado warning.
Ah. You're in that area?
Special marine warning for water spouts. So that probably
Special marine warning, and there was a tornado. Oh, it went off with right when Jack said that.
Sanderson.
Yep, due west of Jacksonville.
Let's see if we can get some other questions right now. I know that tons have been coming in here. What do we think about the Icon's latest run? I know that the Icon has been going off the deep end a few times. Apparently they've just done another one of their greatest hits. Maury, are you on that? Oh, there it is.
Yes.
Wow.
I don't know if that's going to happen. Also, it's saying that New Jersey gets tropical storm force winds. and it's saying that North Carolina gets Category 2 force winds, or Category 3, that might be.
At
I
least
don't
Category
think that's
3 with
going to
that
happen.
pressure.
Yes, definitely. I don't think that's going to occur. I get why they think that, because there is some moisture off the coast of the southeast.
Just track
Uh,
back there a bit, please.
yes.
It
What
emerges off the
about
coast at
the
991, so that scenario relies on very little weakening as it moves over Florida and Georgia.
That's probably why. Also, what it relies on, it doesn't think that it's going to curve northwards. It just thinks that it's going to remain out to sea and do
Yep.
that curve north not until the Outer Banks. So
It is
I don't.
certainly feasible for this to happen if it does stay out over that piping hot Gulf Stream for a few days. It
I do
definitely
think if
could
it
do
does,
that.
I think if it does manage to make it through the Gulf Stream, then it will be able to continue to strengthen and possibly make a landfall in North Carolina. Or it could also miss North Carolina completely if it continues to move out to sea and maybe affect New England later on, or Atlantic Canada, but that would be too far out.
Nathan? We need to bring into this discussion, looking at the icon, the strength of those Atlantic highs, and I'm not ruling that scenario out because other models, the GFS latest one is showing it storming. The main rainfall threat is going to be Savannah, which is what, South Carolina
Georgia.
region. So I think we really can't dismiss the icon.
I just want to bring everyone back to what we're looking at in the grand scheme of things. This is the Atlantic from the National Hurricane Center, and there's that second area of interest that we've been talking about.
Yes.
So that's what they're running with there, 20% chance, and Debby, they'll be doing an update on that, obviously. They will also be updating everything in the Eastern Pacific, and look how busy it is there right now. We have Carlotta, of course, Daniel, and 5E, and a 90% chance behind it. So potentially 4 active tropical cyclones in the near
soon.
in the near future.
Beautiful.
And well, it's already ahead of the Atlantic with those.
Yeah.
Is it? I can't even remember. 5E.
Daniel was named first.
Oh yes, yes. So for a brief period, the Eastpak was ahead with naming, and probably will be again in the not too distant future after its appalling start.
Yeah.
Still only.
It's like someone gave the Eastern Pacific hurricane juice.
But it's not like we've had Cat 4 after Cat 4, though, is it? We've still only had a Category 1 as the strongest storm so far, and usually even that is rare. We should see some stronger storms soon, but it's giving me 2003 vibes right now. Failed to get anything stronger than a Category 1, I think, if I recall, that year. But it was the Eastpax 2013. Now let's take a look at Maury is showing us some cameras, I think. Yep.
Wasn't the Eastpak rubbish in 2013 anyway?
The Eastpak as well, I mean, wasn't great. The Atlantic and Eastpak took a year off.
Rubbish, yeah.
But as soon as we get updates on any of those storms, I imagine because we have 4 systems active across the board, we're going to get 1 or 2 of those updates really early. So we'll be looking out through that period there as we look for those updates. Not that most of those matter to us because the other storms, none of those Eastpak ones are threatening land. Let's go back to Madeira Beach, this live view looking out into the Gulf of Mexico and into the face of tropical storm Debby. So still getting a fair bit of rain there, not as much as earlier, and quite a bit of wind as well, of course. So a lot going on. There's a question about lightning. Is there much lightning in the storm?
Uh, I did saw some earlier, but I don't see some anymore.
Yeah, there is some lightning, like
Yeah.
somewhat out, so about probably like 30 something miles from the center, but that's about it, really.
Yeah. I
And of
never
course,
seen
the outer bands too.
Oh yeah, not much, according to Maury's screen.
Well, I don't know if this is to be trusted. I think it is. It's lightningmaps.org. You can see there's some lightning near Bradenton, Sarasota, and Venice. Uh, Not too much with the storm,
Hmm.
although lots of the southern bands, even though there isn't that many to begin
Hmm.
with, they do have lightning in them. So I do think that the lightning may have been less earlier, but I still don't think the lightning is going to be intense. Although we did just get a few lightning strikes all the way up here near Perry, Florida.
Yeah, there's a burst of convection up there.
Yeah, so not sure.
Saheb Plays says GFS originally went major hurricane for that AOI in the MDR towards Texas. I think it could develop earlier in the Caribbean with extreme favorable conditions. Who knows? I know an earlier model had that, an earlier run had it moving into Texas this time as a tropical storm, sort of high-end tropical storm. So I'm not sure. How high is the risk for Debby? Well, I mean, quite high. I don't really know how to approach that question. Of course, when you look at this graphic, it shows the chance of storm force winds, a lot of areas with high chances there. And these are the key messages which we ought to go through. Heavy rainfall will likely result in considerable flooding impacts from the Florida Big Bend region through southeast Georgia and the coastal plain of the Carolinas through Friday. And they're saying potentially historic heavy rainfall across southeast Georgia and South Carolina through Friday morning may result in areas of catastrophic flooding. Strong wording there, Justin, right?
Yeah, I would actually also like to mention the day 2 weather prediction center rainfall outlook is also a high risk, by the way.
Storm surge, 6 to 10 feet of inundation above ground level expected somewhere between Ochlockonee River and Suwannee River on Monday. Residents in the storm surge warning area should follow any advice given. Hurricane conditions expected Monday along portions of the Florida Big Bend region. Impacts from storm surge and strong winds possible along the southeast coast from Georgia to North Carolina through the middle of next week. And watches, of course, have been issued. Who knows, even they may get upgraded at that 5 p.m. advisory, which we are looking out for.
Yep.
So, whilst we're not, there's an update on Carlotta. The first updates are coming out now. They've put it down to 60 miles per hour and a pressure of 998, and they expect that Carlotta will be dead by Tuesday early hours. So that's Carlotta. Update on Daniel. They're keeping it at 40 miles per hour. They're expecting a brief 45 mile per hour peak. They expect it will be dead by Wednesday. 5E, will it get named at the update? That's what we're waiting for next. And of course, the Debby advisory, which should be joining us in the next 25 minutes. So I'll just open the floor right now. Team, anything you want to remark upon as we watch this storm in real time?
There is actually one thing I would like to mention. Debby is not going to be as much of a wind maker as it is a rain maker. The rain fall threat out of this is what could be potentially historic, especially for this portion of the United States. If you're ever even if you're say it does eventually make landfall as a hurricane, if you're in the eye, do not travel when you're in the calm of the eye, because flash flooding is going to be a very major concern.
I can hear a weather radio.
Also, the advisory on Tropical Storm Daniel is out.
Yep.
40 miles per hour, 1,006 millibars.
1,006.
Yeah. Yeah, latest advisory on it says Daniel now moving northeast with little change in intensity.
Yeah. A question there about how strong do we think Debby will get, so I wonder if our opinions differ. on the team. How strong do we think the storm could feasibly get?
I think
We don't know.
maximum.
We don't know.
I maximum mid-range category 2, maybe low
Category
end.
2.
I mean,
I think that's like the
the-
absolute maximum. I don't think that's the likelihood. I just think that's the absolute maximum.
I would agree with that.
I
Just an
don't want
update on
to-
TD5E. Hasn't been upgraded. They're expecting a tropical storm, though. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to predict the peak intensity of Debby as it makes landfall in Florida. Then afterwards, I don't know yet, but I believe it could have a chance to become a Category 2, possibly a low end, at possibly a peak 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I actually agree with that as well. My thinking was high end Cat 1, low end Cat 2 at peak.
Well, that's exactly what was forecasted. They'll be updating that forecast anytime. We'll let you know.
It mostly
when it's set.
depends. It mostly depends on how fast it's going in. If it starts to like what Nathan mentioned earlier, if it decides to move like east and hit hit Florida very early, then that chance of Cat 2 will be dropped, and probably Cat 1 as well.
Well, it's not doing that because I can confirm it is moving north right now.
Yeah, now it is. So so the chances of it reaching Cat 2, I'll give it a yes, probably a low end, like
Interesting.
Jack mentioned. Yeah.
Over there in the off the what is it, northeastern corner of Florida. Once it gets into the Atlantic, the models are indicating down to about 980 millibars. The GFS shows it dawning and dissipating, but it's those Atlantic highs, the ridging, that's going to be, well, there's much uncertainty, as I said, days 2 to 5.
Not Mr. Popular says thoughts about Hermine as an analog. Ooh.
Ooh.
I just don't, it doesn't feel like a Hermine analog to me. Of course, Hermine in 2016, it didn't look like it would form for a long time, and then it did, and then it became a Category 1 hurricane. The whole thing really was quite unexpected. This one doesn't have that same feel, and it had a tighter recurve when it was doing that just before it hit Florida. This just to me feels like, at the moment, a weaker Idalia. And that's not just because it was last year, it just feels like it. Now, another comment is the track still uncertain after landfall in Florida. Very much so. That's where it gets particularly uncertain. Again, just look at the size of the cone at the end of that run, at the end of that graphic there by Friday. Huge discrepancy on where it could end up. The center of the storm could end up anywhere within that cone.
Yeah, Nathan. Look at live discussion. Look at the picture I just posted. That's from one of the outer bands associated with Debby in St. George Island, Florida right now. Wow.
Very impressive.
Yes.
Where did you say that was?
That's in St. George Island, Florida, associated with Debby.
Where is that?
Hang on.
Quite a mean-looking band there, though, that's for sure.
That's up by Apalachicola.
I wondered if it was underneath that big burst of convection right now.
Yeah. Very ominous look to it, though.
Mm-hmm.
I note the author of that too. It's he's highly respected.
And to me, it looks like it's quite disconcerting as well to see some substantial hot towers towards the center of the storm as well. Really blowing up on the northern side. If it starts up on the southern side, then that's when we've really got a problem.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to watch this
Nathan,
very
can you
closely
bring
over the
up
next few
your
hours.
You've got your radar software working. Can you bring up any other, what is it, the rainbow or RB top?
Oh, I don't have those to hand, but we had some of the other graphics like these ones, some other enhanced infrared views there of the storm's progression throughout the day. And you'll see it on satellite as well. It is very lopsided. Eastern side has all of the action. West side is very bare. And I dare say possibly quite sheared on that west side.
Yeah. Well, the National Hurricane Center, actually, it was Levi Cowan, Tropical Tidbits. 2 days ago, he said that wind shear really wouldn't be an issue for Debby. I think he forecasted 20 to 30 knot wind shear. I haven't looked at the wind shear graphics, so I'm not sure what amount of wind shear would we say.
There's
at
wind
this
shear
point
in the
time.
area, but it's not affecting the core of the storm.
It's mostly I've seen it like outside of it.
Yep. The storm's going to do just fine.
Getting its act together, and as I said, hurricane status within 12 hours. But as we've said, it's a flooding. The rainfall is going to be phenomenal. Savannah, that's southern Carolina area, and we need to consider with the steering mechanisms. We know that systems do stall, but I'm waiting with great interest to see if the NHC is going to change their position at the top of this hour. I feel I might be saying that.
It's going to be a big question about how that forecast might change. Of course, every time they do their advisories, they check obviously the storm's current intensity. They try to establish that as much as possible, and the forecast, which relies on a lot of tools and analysis and thought intensive, and quite often there are, from what we hear, sometimes heated discussions on what they run with on storms and their forecasts. But it is a tough one. If it stalls inland, then it is likely to die off as just a rain event. But if it does pivot out over the Gulf Stream again, up into the Atlantic, then there is a big opportunity for a second intensification phase. And if it doesn't get pushed back into land, then it's really got a big chance of strengthening as it pushes out through the Outer Banks and beyond.
It'll most likely be stronger than what it was when it made landfall in Florida.
Stronger on that side.
And actually, back to what David was saying about it being a rain event, the 7-day precip totals, forecasted totals that is, from the Weather Prediction Center, so they show Savannah, Georgia getting 22 inches of rain.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Nearly 2 feet of rain is forecasted for those areas.
Well, that's what they mean by potentially historic.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the state authorities there in Georgia will issue a similar warning to what Florida did, state of emergency. But Nathan, I want to ask you, when will the NHC possibly change its or update its forecast track?
It's coming up.
Yeah, any moment now, really.
Yep, anytime. We'll get the raw info within the next 15 minutes. They've updated all the other storms, so we're just waiting on Debbie's turn. But once we get that info, we may have quite a bit more to talk about. Will warnings get extended? Will we see them start up on the East Coast now? Well, we're going to find out.
And as I said earlier, the viewers, we've got the tornado watch current. I have no doubt that will get extended. And flooding, a storm surge, so 12 hours, probably, 11 hours from now, we could have Hurricane Debby. And Nathan, you
maybe much
agree that
sooner
it
than
is
that.
developing.
Could be much sooner than
Well,
that.
when do you think, what's your view? How soon?
8 p.m.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And another question, do we know if the, Recon is going back in? Are there any
No
scheduled
idea.
flights? Anybody?
Hope so.
Let me check.
None are active at the moment, but there were 2 earlier.
Yeah, it's a pain non-active.
Yeah,
Kind
Yeah.
of a pain that none are active currently.
none currently active.
Bruh.
And we're watching this imagery again of more
Yes,
blowing
it's
up
looking
convection over the northwest side of what would be possibly an eye there. On that
They
super
say
close up.
you reckon you might be able to use that magic pen?
The magic pen. Or do you want me to draw
Or
with the
where you
magic
think
pen?
the eye, where you think the eye feature might be appearing?
Well, I think it was clear enough, to be honest. You could definitely see it on the radar. We've crossed back to this camera here at Madeira Beach. Again, it's about 90 miles away from the center of Debby. And that distance is probably changing all the time as it is making its closest approach. And they have recently been hit by a significant band and possibly another one moving through now. They're getting some substantial rainfall, quite clear to see there, looking out over the Gulf of Mexico. Let's see if we can take some more questions. We actually didn't have any new ones just now, but I know there were some earlier on. And there's a
Weather radio on off
weather
the background.
radio there, yep.
Yeah,
From,
it's going off for a special
Jose.
marine warning.
Special marine warning.
Yeah.
With a water spout?
Could be.
Good grief. Wanna know how many special marine warnings are active right
Oh,
now,
there
by
is
the
a
way?
lot. Mostly it's along the East Coast.
Just
From-
associated with Debby, there's 9.
Wow.
9 of them.
And I know
Yeah,
everyone
National
that
Weather
still says Taiwan at the bottom. I know, but that's from the last storm
My
that we
radio,
did. It's Florida.
My radio is connected to the Melbourne radio station, so it's along from down to Jupiter, from Okeechobee up to Sebastian and
actually-
Jacksonville.
And Punta Gorda reports, amateur radio reports storm surge. Extensive
Oh.
flooding in downtown Punta Gorda.
Wow.
US 41 and US 17 impassable and closed due to storm surge at this time.
Wow.
National Weather Service, Tampa Bay, Ruskin has issued a flash flood warning for Manatee County, West Central Florida, Western Sarasota,
Yeah, that just
County, West Central Florida, and National Weather Service Key West has issued a thunderstorm warning for the Upper Keys in Monroe County.
The update is out, and they have capped 65 miles per hour, pressure 992 millibars, and they are expecting a peak of 85 miles per hour, although they could be suggesting that
Range.
it's in between points, that it may be a bit stronger than that, I would expect. And then after that, they have it mostly inland, a second peak of 50 miles per hour, so it doesn't sound like there's been much change on that cone. but we'll wait for the actual update. But they have,
Yeah, the peak went down then, because originally they were saying 90.
they were, but I have a suspicion that there'll be like a gap between these two 85 mile per hour points where it could be higher still.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say about it. I mean, I guess it hasn't really looked like it's been strengthening, so I get why they kept it at 65
Well, I think
miles.
it does look like it's been strengthening.
I guess just not that much. Like, it's not, like, rapidly intensifying.
Because I was
But-
thinking for a hot minute there that they may have actually surprised us and made it a hurricane. But they don't
I
have
mean-
enough
Well,
evidence
that
for it.
would be.
Well, it might not be so. Maybe at 8 p.m. they'll put it as a hurricane automatically. It might not be so much of a surprise if they do that.
Well, a big gust just went through my house.
Oh,
The windows shaked hard. It kind of scared me for a
Oh.
bit. Yeah, my windows shaked hard.
now you
That
were
was a big
talking
gust, I
about
can tell.
Punta Gorda just then. Here is a live view in Punta Gorda out at the dock there. Certainly a very wet surface, getting a lot of rain there. Can't quite see much else going on at this point, but apparently a storm surge report at this location.
Speaking of Punta Gorda, I am actually noticing there is a few areas of rotation near the area, so we might get some tropical water spouts at the moment because they're over water. But they could approach towards Port Charlotte. I am noticing those. They're pretty broad at the moment, though, so we'll have to
I
see.
see that, yeah, actually, yeah.
Let's have a
Actually,
look.
one of those is over land right now, so you might see a couple tornado warnings issued there soon.
One of them is about to enter into land near El Zobeen. I don't think I'm
Pardon?
pronouncing it.
It's
Charlotte Beach, basically.
Yeah, Port Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Port Charlotte.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh, it
wouldn't be
is
surprised.
overland. It is overland.
Yeah.
I mixed up the ocean and the land, so it is overland.
Here's a live view from Bokelia right now, which is a little bit further out there. It's how do I explain where that is? It's I've lost my Bokelia. It's just on a little headland there to the west of Cape Coral. Now it looks pretty normal here until we look at the rest of the screen. Oh no, it's cut off. Just a minute. And you will see in a minute that it is actually a flooded beach. It's a storm surge. There it is.
Oh, wow.
So that's the view right now at Bokelia. Clearly a storm surge underway there right now, and the clouds and rain of Debby in the distance.
That jetty looks like it's just about to go under.
Impressive, yeah.
And the palm trees there on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, real quick, off topic from Debbie, real quick. Has anyone seen the latest forecast code of Tropical Depression 5E?
Oh no.
Dude, Amethyst actually posted it in a casual discussion. Nathan, if you just want to pull that up real quick.
In just we'll do
the
in
thing
just a minute.
barely moves. It barely moves.
We'll do in just a minute, but the update, the warnings have changed as well. Storm surge watch for the mouth of the St. Mary's River to South Santee River has been changed to a storm surge warning. Hurricane warning extended west of the Ochlockonee River to Indian Pass. Tropical storm watch from west of Indian Pass to Mexico Beach has been changed to a warning. Tropical storm warning issued for Florida and Georgia coast from Ponte Vedra Beach to the Savannah River. Tropical storm warning for Dry Tortugas is discontinued, and south of Bonita Beach also discontinued at that update.
So what are they saying? Looking at the forecast, the cone, track cone, when's the hurricane? What is there time stamp on that?
Well, let's just wait a little bit whilst we wait for their new cone. But back to what Amethyst was showing us. There's the cone for 5E.
Yeah, thing barely moves from where it is currently.
Yeah.
And that's the full
And
cone,
that's
isn't it?
very
It dies
unusual.
off
Yeah,
after that point.
that's the entire cone. Yeah.
And you may think
Thing
that's
doesn't
strange,
even
but
move.
it gets sucked into the other system to its east.
Yep, Fujiwara.
Literally a storm getting absorbed by another storm, which to be honest is quite rare.
Oh yeah.
We are waiting for that new cone. We still haven't had it yet. This will change in a moment, and you'll see the new forecast with those new warnings. We think it's going to look quite similar to the current cone, but we are just waiting for some confirmation on that. Now, apparently heavy rain bans going on in Haines City. And what is the expected wind speed in our analysis for Tallahassee? I don't know actual wind speed, but I know that the chances of TS winds there, what were they? Something like, must be at least in the 20% range. That's way more than that. Quite high. Just trying to find out for you exactly what the chances are. Yeah, about a 70% chance of tropical storm force winds. So it looks like you'll be on the western side. So I doubt they'll be that strong. But the way this is going, that might change.
Isn't it correct to say that the eastern side's probably going to get more storm surge?
Yes. Northeastern side probably with the highest storm surge.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can go back to that live cam at Bokeelia whilst we wait for that new cone. There it is. A live view of that storm surge, which is pressing in. That pier has been isolated there. And you can see the clouds are moving quite quickly as well.
Storm surge level.
Tornado
that
warning. There's
area.
a tornado warning.
A new tornado warning.
Tornado
Yes.
warning for
And it's the area I pointed out.
Port
Yep.
Charlotte.
Yep.
Oh.
Not surprised. Rotation's gotten a lot stronger on it too.
Yeah,
West
there it is.
Central DeSoto County, South Central Florida, Southeastern Sarasota County, West Central Florida. It's basically, I think, Port Charlotte moving north at 40 miles per hour. Radar indicated. North Point and Port Charlotte around 5:05 p.m. The thunderstorm, Murdoch and Eljo Bean.
Part.
Yeah, it's actually called Eljo Bean.
I don't know
Weird
why.
place name, but okay.
Okay.
And National Weather Service Jacksonville's updated the tropical storm warning.
Alright,
The one that was
Actually,
2004.
and David, sorry to interrupt you real quick. We actually have another tornado warning.
Oh, I just saw it now.
Yeah, National Weather Service in Miami has issued a tornado warning for southwestern Collier County and southwestern Florida until 5:15 p.m. At 4:59 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Cape Romano or near Marco Island, moving northeast at
Another
40
tornado
miles per
warning
hour.
just went out.
But the locations impacted include Marco Island, Belmead, Marco Island Airport, Oil Palm Hammock, Lully Resort, Key Marco, Fiddler's Creek, and Goodland. And yeah, and actually, as you said, there's a new tornado warning. Let me.
Yeah,
It
just
was actually the
now.
other couplet near Punta Gorda got warned as well.
Yeah.
National Weather Service in Tampa Bay Ruskin has issued a tornado warning for north central Charlotte, southwestern DeSoto, and east central Sarasota counties until 5:30 p.m. At 5 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, was located over Punta Gorda, moving north at 40 miles per hour. This storm will be near Northport, Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, and Charlotte County Airport around 5:05 p.m. Other locations impacted by this tornadic thunderstorm include Lake Susie, Salina, Harbor Heights, Charlotte Park, Cleveland, Fort Ogden and Charlotte Harbor.
So lots of tornado warnings and a new forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center, and it is ballooning in size. A big stalling motion, slow moving motion there. Very low confidence forecast from the National Hurricane Center, but they are expecting it to just peep out off the coast of Georgia, briefly reach 50 miles per hour once again, and then move inland. This is increasingly looking like a massive rain threat for Georgia and the Carolinas.
Yeah.
The National Weather Service has updated the flood information 8 to 12 inches. Now, National
Well, say
Weather
there's been,
Service, Tallahassee.
Sorry, David. Didn't mean to interrupt. But I was gonna say there's been lots of reports of strong tropical cyclone winds of around 58 miles per hour gust near pretty much mostly near Tampa and Clearwater, St. Petersburg.
And that there's another tornado warning for Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, and Charlotte Harbor till 5:30. 119,000 in that tornado warning. Take cover immediately.
This isn't good. The possible historic flood rainfall. And the NHC, they're still doing 3 hourly updates. Am I right?
Oh yeah, they're going to keep doing that.
The storm surge warning, National Weather Service, Tallahassee. Potential for storm surge flooding greater than 9 feet above ground. The storm surge threat remains nearly steady from the previous assessment.
How long are we live for?
We will be finishing soon because we will be doing a tropical weather bulletin tonight.
And the National Weather Service Miami, and they've updated a special marine warning, ongoing chances of water spouts. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing water spouts located over northwest Key or North Ness Key, moving north at 50 knots. Soldier Key, Convoy Point, Card Sound, Turkey Point, Key, Biscayne Bay, Elliott Key, Pacific Reef, Trump Reef, Black Point, Coal Cables, and Cape Florida.
Another big rainstorm now at this camera at Bokeelia. This is the northern side of Pine Island, which is quite close to, well, to be honest, most of the storm is moving away from this area now, but it is still in the southeastern side, which is pushing a lot of storm surge inland, as you can clearly see on this image, this pier isolated. Look how far the visibility has gone down there with this. And this is not too far from those tornado warnings either. So a little idea of the conditions there at this point. So if you've just joined us, the update on Debby, it hasn't strengthened any further, although it looks like it may. And we are still expecting it to reach Category 1 hurricane strength and make landfall possibly as a strong Category 1. And after that, it looks like there could be a big stalling event going on, in which we could see really... It looks more and more now as though we're going to have a massive rainfall event from this when it weakens to tropical storm status later on Tuesday and Wednesday. It might be hanging around for a while. As a matter of fact, it is still there as a depression on Friday. And if it happens to still be offshore by that point, there's nothing that says it wouldn't still be a tropical storm there either.
the massive amount of rain and flooding. It's
Yeah, I've been watching this feed obviously for a little bit. I don't think the surge is rising. If anything, it may be falling slightly.
high tide.
I'm not sure if those there's some little features there on the left hand side of the pier, and I think they may be appearing a little bit more as time goes on. So I think we're pretty much at the height of the storm surge here, and it may be about to start going down again. I'm just trying to figure out what that little thing is moving at the bottom left there. Is it an inanimate object? In any case, really getting some heavy rain there now. Any thoughts from the team at this point? Are we surprised that they didn't upgrade it a little bit or up the intensity a bit more?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I share that as well. Sorry, Maury.
And you can see some of those winds pushing along the top of the water there at times. It's actually going slightly against that surge, which is interesting.
I mean, the surge is really getting there. It's really flooding quite fast. So this is just the beginning of the flooding. So of course it's going to be more higher than that, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, this location I think is going to start going down shortly because the storm is starting to get a bit further away. But further north, if it's already happening here, which is in Gasperia Sound, then it's probably going to be quite similar in Tampa Bay. And then further north towards the Big Bend, that's where we're going to get the full surge there, which could be up to 10 feet. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. Let's see if we can take some more questions here. How big really is Debby? Hard to grasp as it seems mostly in the vertical cross section. How does it compare to Idalia's size? Ooh. I can't remember Idalia's size if I'm being honest. But Debby is quite large. Measuring the distance of significant cloud cover, it must be a good 300 or 400 miles. Idalia was?
I forgot how big Adalia was.
So let me just go through some old advisories and find out. I mean, at the moment, in terms of the National Hurricane Center, they are saying that the winds extend out 120 nautical miles northeast and southeast. So 120 nautical miles. Let's go back to Idalia updates. And when it was at a similar strength, it was 130 nautical miles southeast. So in fact, it is quite similar to the earlier stages of Idalia. But when we talk about peak Idalia, I'm trying to remember when that was. It was on the 30th of August, I think. Yeah, the peak of Idalia, at that point it was 150 nautical miles southeast. So only slightly bigger than Debby. They are quite comparable. Another comment there. In Port St. Joe, Florida, National Weather Service just sent hurricane warnings out. Yeah, they did get extended.
Oh wow! I just looked at the track right now and I just saw it got extended. Tropical storm warnings are now along Georgia and I think in the border of South Carolina. looks like, yeah, the borderline around it.
Something like that.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it, but I'm not sure if it's in the borderline of South Carolina or it's not even near it.
Alright then, I'm just waiting for some stuff to load. Not having much luck with that right now. So we're going to finish up with this viewpoint of the storm right now. So Debby is still, well, we thought it was strengthening, but according to the National Hurricane Center, they have kept it at 65 miles per hour and a pressure of 992. It is still expected to become a substantial hurricane by the time it gets closer towards its landfall in Florida, and looking quite impressive on this satellite imagery, blowing up high cloud tops across the whole area. I don't know why the imagery is starting to glitch all of a sudden. The whole thing's glitching up. What's going on? Anyways, there we are right now. It is just about making its closest pass, or soon to be closest pass, to the Tampa Bay area. I don't know what's going on with that imagery. But we are going to be finishing up for now. There is a tropical weather bulletin on the way, and stay tuned on this stream because it will redirect you to our automated feed, which is also active. And we'll be going to update some of the data on there in a little while as well. But a little bit surprised from our team there that it hasn't strengthened any further. Some tornado warnings are active right now in the Punta Gorda area. And was the Marco Island still active?
Yeah.
Yep.
Marco Island still active.
Marco Island, and huge amounts of rain expected over the next few days by the looks of things, especially in Georgia and South Carolina by the looks of things as we get through to the next few days. It's going to be a significant long event for those areas for rainfall reasons more than anything, but we could still see tropical storm force winds there too. Debby on its way to hurricane status. We'll have more updates soon. Thanks to the team for taking part there and telling us all of the latest info. Quite important. But for now, we'll be finishing up. We'll be having extensive landfall coverage tomorrow.